After a move to Saudi and linking up with the brothers once again, things had turned sour. Ronaldo's hunger for the spotlight had crept in as he watched Jed hit the ground running. He made his stance clear to the board and they had a huge decision to make. 5-time Ballon d'Or winner Cristiano Ronaldo or new star Jed Brown. Talks at the top were still ongoing and the situation was clearly affecting Jed. He missed chance after chance and wasn't seeming like his usual self. The first time he'd failed to score for Al-Nassr and it was looking worrying. Manny stepped up and helped himself to a brace, making him now 76 rated. Jed did get an assist in that game and he used it to unlock 5-star skill moves. The board came to a decision which would see Ronaldo resume his position as the main man. This was expected as he would be too much of a loss to the club. They also stated that if Jed wanted to stay, he'd have to move over to the left and he couldn't play up top. His respect for Ronaldo was beginning to disappear as he saw the whole ordeal as petty, but still, he had to get on with things. Ronaldo back in the lineup stole the headlines, scoring and lifting the roof with his signature celebration. He didn't stop there as he scored another 2 goals. Once more, it was all about Ronaldo. The game ended 3-1, but despite Jed being seemingly okay with the situation, he wanted more than that. He believed he was destined to be the main man. Knowing he'd just signed and not even trying to entertain the thought of going on loan, Jed knew he had to keep going. He scored in the following game, but Ronaldo would upstage the young boy with yet another hat-trick. Going hard in training, Jed's development was in the ascendancy. There was no stopping his dream. He wanted to be the best in the world. The upgrade from the previous match was used on Toby, taking him to 79 rated. All of a sudden, a turn of events as Ronaldo suffered an injury that would lay him out for the majority of the season. Could this be Jed's big break? That then made the manager bring Toby in and the brothers assembled again. Knowing he had to take this moment, Toby scored with his first goals for the club, upgrading himself to an 81 rated striker. The result ending 2-0 and the brothers were officially back. The team failed to score in their next match, dropping their first points of the season. Tribe had taken off for Jed and he saw a good return on his investment. The clothing brand was taking over the world. In case you didn't realise, that's a real clothing brand, so if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. The link will be down in the description below. He began to engage in more off-field activities, taking part in a docu-series about Al-Nassr as well as starring in a TV campaign. Toby's pace proved to be a problem in League 2 and that was still the case. Bursting past defender after defender, he fired not 1 but 2 goals in the ACC. The moment came for a hat-trick and Toby stepped up and converted. Al-Nassr were now in the final of the ACC. Toby gave all of his 3 points to Manny, moving him to 79 rated. Brother's style of play and a newfound confidence would continue to revolutionise Saudi football, playing some eye-catching football, but not just that, scoring whilst doing so. The link-up would prove to be too much for their opponents and goals were flying in, with all 3 on the score sheet in this game. Jed made the score 4-0 with a lovely finish, however his celebrations were cut short as he pulled up with an injury. And it couldn't have been worse timing. Following the unfortunate events, Al-Nassr would lose their first game of the season. They'd managed to go unbeaten so far, but the worst part about this was it was the ACC final, leaving them trophyless. Using the 7 upgrades stored, 4 would go to Toby and 3 to Manny. Toby used 2 on his weak foot and 2 on his skills, now 5-star skills, 4-star weak foot. Manny on the other hand would use 1 on his overall and 2 on his skill moves, now 81 rated and 5-star skills. The flair was coming out. Despite being injured, Jed scooped up the player of the month for October. This was a good sign. It'd make it his first ever player of the month and he was over the moon with it. Al-Nassr were top of the league and still unbeaten in the league with 29 points. Things looked good, but Jed was still a bit unsatisfied. The transfer window would soon open and he wanted a move back to Europe. Manny agreed. Toby on the other hand was unsure as he began to enjoy his time in Saudi with 13 goal involvements in 10 games. The fans were loving him and he was loving them. Unfortunately for him, only the ones in matches played go towards upgrades. After Jed had expressed his desire to leave the club, Everton came back in for him, bidding over £100 million to get their man. It was clear they held him in high regards, matching his wage as well, as he had a big decision to make. Once more though, he turned them down. Brentford joined the race, bidding a bit lower at £70 million. The board still accepted it though, as they weren't sure they'd get much more for Jed. They also agreed to match his wage, but Jed still turned this down as they were both championship sides, even though Everton were well poised for promotion. Genk made an offer also, but it didn't appeal to Jed in the slightest. Deadline day had arrived and there were many rumours of a move to FC Porto. After speaking with his brothers, with around 10 hours to go of deadline day, Porto came in with a bid of over £90 million. After consulting with his brothers, this was it. Spending over 200 million in total, Porto expressed their intent to become the best team around. With new investment and new backing, a new chapter had begun. Leaving with some fond memories and significantly improving, all three brothers hoped they were making the right decision. For now though, it was off to the airport and time for a new challenge. A new rule in play now for Jed. To get an upgrade, he needs 5 goals. Assists no longer play a part. For Manny and Toby, the rules stay exactly the same. Jed was set to make his debut with the rain pouring down in front of a packed out stadium. It didn't take long for the new man to get going. After a neat 1-2, he was off the mark. Before long, he'd made it 2 goals in his new colours. A hat-trick was then inevitable, and Jed would introduce himself to the Porto fans in the best way possible. Manny came on to make his debut too, which was a good sign of things to come. Jed came away with the match ball and a step closer to his dreams. He could feel everything starting to click together. The next game was against Sporting in a major league fixture. All 3 brothers in the lineup, it was go time. Coming off the bench, 1-0 down, they needed something special from Jed. A mistake in the box, a tackle from Jed and a strike from Manny levelled the score, 1-1. Sporting had some late chances, but the points would be shared, and that was it. A goal for Manny means a +1 for him. He used that on his weak foot. He is now 5-star. A good week in training saw Jed make it into the starting lineup for an important Europa League knockout game. Jed was pinching himself and almost coming to tears at how far he had come. It was Europa League for now, but hopefully one day for him, it would be the biggest stage of all, the Champions League. He was played in beautifully, but too eager. Jed rushed his shot. Porto would keep the pressure on, and a pass into Martin from Jed would see him register an assist. In search of his 4th goal for the club, he tried from distance, but for the keeper's acrobatics, that would have been it. Porto pushed further in front with Manny making it 2 goals in 2 games. Monaco, however, pulled one back through Raul Jimenez and it was game on. The home side came close once more, but it was cleared off the line. Talisca broke in on goal when he tried to square it for Manny, but that was cut out. Soon after, with the help of the home fans, Monaco levelled things on the counter, 2-2. Jed wanted to be the difference and very nearly was as he struck the inside of the post. A mistake in the last minute from Porto nearly proved costly as Monaco wasted their chance. Another goal for Manny makes him 84 rated. Meanwhile, a poor performance from Jed sees him drop to the bench. The next game ended 0-0 with neither side able to break through. Attention turned back to the Europa League. There was lots of work to be done. For big games, big players were needed. The manager knew this and he brought Jed off the bench at striker. This would boost his confidence and he would do something special. Fancy footwork in the box and a beautiful finish. He then turned provider for Toby, cutting it back for a left-footed drive. Porto ran away with it in the second leg, making it 3 and winning 5-2 on aggregate. Jed taking man of the match and now only 1 goal from his next upgrade. Toby in the meantime goes to 83 rated with his goal. At the expense of Pacos Ferreira, Toby doubled his tally for Porto. That's 2 in 2 for him now. And he used that upgrade to go from 4-star to 5-star weak foot. The goal was still the same for Jed, to be the best in the world. Training was non-negotiable and he called on his brother Manny to support him with some drills too. Porto second with a game in hand, a league title was on the line also. Toby on fine form hit a double in a derby match against Boa Vista with 2 clean finishes. He'd used 1 upgrade on himself to take it to 84 and 1 on Jed to take him to 85 rated. The round of 16 in the Europa League was upon us and the perfect stage for Jed to continue making his name. With Roma standing in the way, could he and Porto step up? After some nice work from Jed, Toby slotted it through to Maksimovic to open the scoring. A few minutes on and Roma almost pulled it back, but for good goalkeeping reactions. On the stroke of half-time they were level, much to the frustration of the manager. Some harsh words were shared in the dressing room and Porto came out steaming. They'd been instructed to put on a high press, which resulted in a Roma goalkeeping error. Talisca, the man to punish him. Jed bagged his 5th for the club, taking him to 86 rated. Now every upgrade for him after that would need 10 goals. He also picked up an unnecessary yellow for a foul on Naby Keita. He needed to be very careful. The game ended 3-1 and it was advantage Porto. Jed praised the team spirit after the win, saying it was the best dressing room atmosphere he had experienced ever. In an attempt to create the next footballing success story, he launched his own sports academy, his way of giving back to the community. An unlikely defeat as Maritimo take a 2-0 victory against Porto. A massive dent into the Porto camp just before the second leg against Roma, leaving them 3 points behind the leaders Braga as well. Dybala was in fine form, but could he pull it back for Roma? They were 3-1 down, there was a lot of work to do. Jed went on a rampage and run before slotting it past the goalkeeper. It was now 4-1. Surely there was no way back into it. Maksimovic would be dealt a major blow as he pulled up injured, having to be replaced. As if things couldn't get any worse, something was definitely going on. Minutes later, Jed received the same fate, being forced to withdraw from the match. This could have been down to how hard Sergio Conceição had worked his team following their latest defeat. Dybala did end up on the score sheet, but still on the wrong side of the result. Porto won 6-3 on aggregate. After the game, Manny checked in with Jed to see if he was okay, but this injury was not looking good. He explained to the medical staff that he thought that he heard a pop. That's never a good sign. This injury would put him out for at least 3 weeks with a slight hamstring issue, meaning he'd miss the European clash against his favourite team, Man United. But would he miss both legs? Find out in the next episode.
Why they asking me if hard work pays off? The proof's in the pudding. How'd I get where I got? Check the work that I put in.